Hello and welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. Winter holidays are a time for family and friends to come together, but it also means a greater risk for fires. And joining us now from the Wilmington Fire Department, our Deputy Chief of the Fire Marshal, James Jobs. And we also have Frank Mull, who's the Public Education Specialist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Well, you know, the holidays are right around the corner. We have Thanksgiving coming up. We have Christmas. What are some of the things that homeowners, renters should take into consideration when it comes to decorating their homes?
Well, of course, a lot of people are ready. They're getting amped up for Thanksgiving. Lots of good food, decorations. A lot of electrical appliances and ornaments are going to be put up. So we just wanted to come and talk about some of the things that they should look for, some of the things they shouldn't do during Thanksgiving, Christmas, with the Christmas tree. Following New Year's will be right around the corner. So one of the first things we'd like to talk about with Thanksgiving being around the corner is cooking and home safety in your kitchen.
Some of the things people need to realize is when they first start cooking in the kitchen, especially around the holidays or any time, they need to start preparing for something that could happen in the kitchen. If they start using a pan on the stove, they should have a lid that matches that pan. So if they have some sort of flare up on the stove, they can actually go ahead and take a lid, put it over top of the pan, shut the stove off, and that should smother the fire. The same thing would be going the same if they were in the stove. They were cooking in the stove like a turkey, a chicken, and they had a fire within the stove. Same thing. They would want to keep the stove door closed, shut the stove off, watch to see if it smothers the fire. If it doesn't, please call 911. We'll come out, investigate it. And that's with any fire in the home. If they've ever had any type of small fire, if they need us to come out and take a look at it, we'd rather come out and take a look at it than before it comes something major. Some things people should also realize is if they do have a fire on the stove, please never use any type of water to try to put the fire out.
I was just going to say,
yes,
one would think water.
Right, it'll spread the fire, especially a grease fire. It will make it worse.
Right.
Same thing, we don't want you using baking soda, salt, flour. There are a lot of old wives' tales. We'd rather use the lid, or if you have a fire extinguisher inside your home, if it gets too bad, you want to try to use the fire extinguisher. Okay. But the main thing is we want you to start evacuating, getting your family out if you do have any type of fire in the stove. Another thing is we want you to keep the little ones out of the kitchen too while you're cooking.
I was just going to say, is there a clearance that they should gauge?
We want that for distractions. Looking at some trends that are happening in Wilmington, we have not just during the holidays, but throughout the year, a lot of unattended cooking. So unattended cooking can be from you being on the telephone and forget that you're cooking, walking and playing with the little ones in another room,
watching
and forget
TV.
Watching TV. Of course, during the holidays we might have a few adult beverages, so we don't want to get impaired and forget that we're cooking. So those are some of the safety advice that we would like to put out, that pay attention to the cooking, have fun, enjoy your family, but don't get distracted.
But also another thing when you're starting to cook, especially around the holidays, if you're going to be cooking all day long, some people cook, they get up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they cook all the way to 11 o'clock in the morning. One of the things we'd like you to do is try to crack a window within the kitchen, especially if you're using gas. Okay. So a lot of times that'll set the carbon monoxide alarm off in your home if you have one, which you should. So we'd like you to crack that. It'll ventilate it a little bit.
Okay, and how important is it to also be aware of not leaving things around the stove while you're cooking?
Well, part of your preparation for cooking should to make sure that your stove top is clean. A lot of times we use the under the broiler section of our ovens for storage of pans and maybe heat the muffins or mittens that we use to pull out the hot pads. So you want to make sure that those areas are clear and no mittens or pads are down there. And then once you start cooking, you want to cook at the correct temperature. You don't want to overcook or accelerate the temperature to the point where it's going to burn the food.
Okay, and as we know, it's actually like one of the leading causes for fires in homes in the kitchen.
Yes, it is.
Correct, yes.
And also, so what about extinguishers? Like, should we have one? I know usually when you're renting, it's provided in your apartment, but for homeowners, should that be something to consider?
We, as a city, don't recommend that you go and get a fire extinguisher because now you're going to be tempted to use it. If you do have a fire extinguisher, we ask that you try to get some training. We do offer training in the fire marshal's office on the use of extinguishers. But the first thing that we would like for you to do is dial 911 and make sure that you and anyone else in your home can get out safely.
Right. And if you can, turn off that burner like you said earlier. Make sure you put a lid on it.
Correct.
And now you did mention smoke detectors. So how frequently should we be checking the smoke detectors, making sure they're working, making sure we actually have one in our homes? Or
we have a program here in the city of Wilmington. We have a free smoke alarm program and carbon monoxide alarm program where you can call the number. It's 571-4361. And you can call that number. It's a hotline that we have. And if you're a resident of the city of Wilmington, own your home, all you have to do is tell us the phone number, address, and your name, and we'll get back to you. Every Florida home should have a working smoke alarm. If you have 3 floors, so each floor should have basement, first, second floor should have smoke alarms. We have now 10-year smoke alarms, so you don't have to change the 9-volt batteries in them anymore. Once you put this alarm up, it's a sealed battery. It's good for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, it makes a strange sound. It's telling you it's time to take it down, dispose of it, and put a new one up.
okay.
You should be checking them weekly is what we would like. Monthly is fine. Some of them, we'd like you to try to unscrew them, vacuum them out. Sometimes you get dust in them sometimes, and that could cause them to actually go off accidentally. Any type of like cobwebs, dust inside of them. But we would like every home. We've given out so far this year 425 smoke alarms and 101 carbon monoxide alarms.
Great.
A very important effort that we're trying to do. In some of our recent fires, we have found that homes that are able to get free smoke detectors from our office have not had working smoke detectors. Unfortunately, we're doing all we can to go door to door. As your constituents see, we go door to door after every fire for a 3-by-3 block radius, making sure that both homeowners and renters have working detection in their homes. It is a city law that all renters can contact license and inspection or their homeowner and make sure that their detectors also work properly.
Oh, that's a great fact to know. And how important is it? I mean, one may think it's not as important, but is there a time frame between when you actually can smell something burning while you're sleeping and the detector actually going off?
That's a good question. One of the things that we are implementing now is we'd like people to sleep with their doors closed at night. By keeping the doors closed at night, if you should have a fire, say, start on the first floor in your kitchen area, once that fire starts, there's actually carbon monoxide inside the smoke. When that smoke starts traveling up to the second floor, the carbon monoxide's already reached up there before even the smoke has. And that can start putting you into a deeper sleep.
I was going to say that can actually make one pass first.
Correct.
As opposed to the
And by keeping your doors closed, that's keeping that smoke out of your bedroom. It's allowing you to start hearing those smoke alarms going off because you're not going to be into a dead sleep.
Okay.
And then once it starts escalating, the other smoke alarms are going to activate, and by then you'll be able to hear them. What we'd like people to do is talk to their children about this, what to do in case there would be a fire in their home, how to exit, just like you would be at school or a business.
Right. I was going to say, put a plan together.
Correct. Explain to your children that if they can't get to you, you might be the first one to wake up and start, waking the rest of the family up. Get on the phone, call 911, tell them, hey, I'm in my bedroom, I'm trapped, we can't get out, there's fire on the other side of the door. Okay. So
now, is there anything that you could put in your room on the second floor in case if there is a fire and you're trying to get out, but you're already 2 stories up?
They do, hardware stores, online, they do sell these type of escape ladders that you could attach to your window to get down. It's some things you have to research on. There's some out there that are very, very good, and there's others that are, on the market that are
Right.
kind of shady. So you have to watch what you're getting.
Okay. And also in regards to that, there are some people who happen to use their oven to heat the home. So how important is it to not use that method?
Well, I'm going to say we don't recommend that. It's very costly for the homeowner, but it's also very dangerous.
Yes.
And we can cue into some electrical safety. When gas or electric stoves are not designed to heat your homes, obviously. As you see here, space heaters, both electric and kerosene heaters, are common in a lot of homes. Space heaters, with all types of space heaters, you want to make sure that you have it properly spaced where it's not next to a combustible item like your sofa or a rug that may burn. If you look at this space heater here, there's the open filaments that heat up and allow the heat to expand. So you definitely want to make sure that you have 2 or 3 feet away from any combustible item before you use these items. Again, with kerosene heaters, you want to make sure that they're clean, they're not putting off any carbon monoxide, and that you also have those heaters not close to any sources that can also catch fire. Okay. With electrical safety and heaters, you also want to make sure that they're UL rated or another rating system that's out there. But as you can see, this one shorted out and it burnt the plug. One of the biggest things with electrical safety and during the holidays is overcrowding your 120 outlet. So here on my left is a standard 120 outlet for a residential home. Okay. It shorted. As you can tell, all the wires and everything melted right to the outlet, at which point the extension cords that were tied in together, we don't recommend that you tie more than one extension cord to the outlet. When you start using double extension cords, it causes friction. These cords heat up, especially if you throw a throw rug or put it under your rug because you don't want to trip over it. It also helps to generate heat, and these wires begin to break down and then they short. Okay. So
it's best to plug straight into the wall.
Plug straight into the wall. Only use one extension cord.
Okay.
Again, they also make the 6-gang or the 4-gang plugs that you can plug in. As you can tell, this one has also shorted out, and that's from putting too much appliances into that plug. So you want to never use extension cords for permanent electricity. Okay. You want to make sure that you're using them on a temporary basis, that they're UL rated, and that they're not frayed or damaged before you begin to use them.
Okay, and the same way that we check our smoke detectors, should we have a certified electrician to come in to make sure that all of our electricity within each socket is actually operating and live, or is that not important?
Well, there's the state fire marshal provides on their technical webpage a listing of what's known as electrical inspectors.
Okay.
Commercial structures, hospitals, prisons, they're required by law during various courses of the year to be inspected and get an updated stickers. Daycare centers are required to also do that. There is no regulation for an continuing inspection of residential homes, okay, although we do recommend that you do get it checked probably once every 5 to 10 years. If you do any upgrading to your electrical panel or any major upgrades to your electrical system in your home, the electrician is going to be required to get a electrical inspection. Okay. And what you would do is go down to your electrical panel, open the panel up, and there should be a sticker that's affixed to the panel itself.
And that's good to know, because you would just think if you get a power outage or a shortage, you just go right down to the panel and just flick the switch again. But how many times are you doing that in the house?
Yeah.
Right.
And knowing where your panel is located is very important, and as well as for small kids, and making sure that you have electrical covers so that they don't stick pennies or their fingers or any
pins, yeah.
Correct. Yes, paper clips.
Yeah, so that's one of the other safety things that we would talk about. Christmas trees. So Christmas trees again, and a lot of the home decorations that you spoke
Oh yes,
about.
the lights that you put around the Christmas tree and you plug into the wall.
Of course, again, we always recommend that you use a UL rated or the other rating systems out there, plugs and decorations. When you put your tree up, obviously you want the tree, if it's a live tree, you want to make sure that it's doesn't have any dead or decaying branches on it.
Okay.
You want to put some water in there. It's also been recommended that you may put some ice cubes in there. That way, if you forget to water it, as the ice cubes melt, they still have water in the tree. But you should check that at least once a day. When you put your lights in on, not as much as the ornaments, but the lights themselves, you want to check to make sure that there's no fraying, no tears in the electrical jacket that could cause a fire on that tree.
And how quick does it take for a tree to catch on fire?
Very quick. And when they go up, it's like going up like gasoline. As you can see on the video right now we're watching. And you can get temperatures up to over 1,200 degrees with these Christmas trees. We've had numerous fires over the holidays, over years, with people forgetting to water their trees. And you have what happens, what you're seeing on TV right now. We will also recommend people make sure that, I know a lot of people like using candles and things during the holidays.
Oh, yes.
And there are also some traditions where different cultures put Christmas trees or candles on Christmas trees. We highly recommend you don't do that.
Right.
Because you will have major problems when that happens. And please keep candles away from Christmas trees or heaters, anything that could dry the tree out or could set it on fire.
And how about for those residents who like to recycle the Christmas tree, where they buy it, it's fake, and it comes with the light bulbs on the tree? Does it really matter if some of them have been damaged during packaging and bringing it back out the next year? Should you look for that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. A lot of the artificial Christmas trees nowadays, they are like the chief was saying earlier, a lot of them are UL rated. So you want to look at that on the Underwriter Laboratories rating on that Christmas tree to make sure that the wiring, everything matches what's on the tree. Because nowadays they try to make them a lot safer than they used to be years ago when you bought an artificial Christmas tree. But you still want to make sure that the wiring and everything is working properly on that tree.
And you also mentioned with the candles, how important is it to make sure they're not unattended as well, especially if you have children in the house, not sleeping with candles lit during the night?
Candles probably fall, or open flame in general probably falls in one of the top 3 categories of why we have building or structure fires throughout the year.
Oh, wow, top 3.
You know, unattended candles, it gets knocked over, it doesn't burn cleanly if your wick is too tall. Most candles have like a caution label on the bottom of them that tell you that you want your wick within a 1/4 inch of the wax, and that's so that it doesn't start to flicker over top of the candle itself. But all flames, open flames, should be extinguished if you're not going to be in the room, if you're leaving the house. I know a lot of those candles put off the nice scents that people like to have when they leave and come into their homes.
Right.
But it's just not safe. And we would recommend that you don't do that. Obviously, if you have kids or dogs or pets, that you don't do that, because your dog or pet obviously doesn't know what it's done. And they're unable to warn you until your working smoke detector does.
Right. And also with the heaters, is it safe to sleep with them on during the night for electrical hazards?
Well,
they
are safe as long as you have not overloaded the outlet, and the heater itself is both in an area where it's not next to other combustibles, and it's pretty much UL rated, or it's in good working condition.
Okay.
If you know your both electric or kerosene heater has some issues, I would not recommend to use it unless it's been repaired.
Okay.
If you have multiple outlets, things plugged into the outlet, or if you're using a series of extension cords, then I would rewire before I go unattended and go to sleep with that heater working.
And James and Frank, as we come to a close, let's talk a little bit about Councilwoman Harley's law that just passed in regards to fireworks in the city.
Yes. So last July, there was quite a bit of fireworks, more than in years past. with fireworks in the city, and what Councilwoman Harley thought was a change in the law. There was a change in the law. It was done very quickly with not a lot of time for both the state or any of the local fire marshals to and get it out to the public, educate the public, and enforce it. But it's House Bill 445, which was enacted in June of 2018, just before the July 4th holiday. And what that did, it changed the way that we can use fireworks. Fireworks, as we know, are a form of explosives. So the pyrotechnic chemical that gives you the pop or the flash, in order for it to be used by civilians, has to be at a minimum level, very below, I would think, 60 milligrams of the pyrotechnic. Basically, that's the small poppers, the sparklers that can get up to like 1,200 degrees, and some other small ground level rocket. What do you call them?
Like fountains,
yeah,
things like that.
So one of the things that the law has changed is there's 3 holidays that can be used. That's July 4th, December 31st, and January 1st. And then the law allows you to use those particular fireworks on those specific days and 30 days prior to that holiday. So now that we're approaching December 31st, around the end of November, we'll start seeing people utilize, or you would be legal to utilize those poppers, those sparklers, or those ground level.
Immediately after.
Immediately after, within that 30-day window. Anything else is one, illegal, which we could confiscate. Police or fire can confiscate if they see it. You're subject to city fines, or depending on the quantity that you have, you could also be arrested. Merchants that are found with these items in their possession will immediately have to remove the items. They can be confiscated. A second offense, again, could lead to further legal action. As far as safety, we ask that if you're doing, even with the sparklers, that you have small kids, that you pay attention to the small kids. These sparklers get in excess of 1,200 degrees in Fahrenheit and can easily burn your child or his clothes. So sparklers are very dangerous. Fireworks in general are very dangerous. Luckily, last year we did not have any injuries from fireworks, and we did not have any fires from fireworks.
That doesn't mean it can't happen.
Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but those professional companies that we see come in that do the 4th of July celebrations and all of the Blue Rocks and other events that you see around town, they're required by law to get permits, and that's permits to set the fireworks off as a display. There's the process of transporting the hazardous material or the explosives is a permit. And obviously the person that is pulling the trigger and setting up the fireworks has to be licensed and competent to do that. So there's quite a bit of licensing that goes in with fireworks on a professional scale. So we don't recommend the neighborhood block party to go out and try to buy up a lot of fireworks, because you're going to either hurt yourself, cause a fire, or face legal action.
Okay. And before we leave, any last safety measures you would like to share with our viewers?
Just remember to check your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms, and everybody have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy holiday.
And on behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you. You've been watching In Focus, and I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras.